is a student-led initiative of the members of Dakshata, the knowledge cell of DBRNLU, in collaboration with internship and placement cell of DBRNLU. The objective of this series is to help the students figure out their way through a law school. The lecture series aims to provide a complete glimpse about the curriculum and to enhance their skills necessary to survive in a law school. Dakshata, the knowledge cell of TBRNLU, is an official society which supplements the existing academic environment, thereby inspiring open-ended critical thinking flows and healthy debates outside of class hours, which help in growth of general and specific knowledge. The internship and placement cell of DBRNLU was constituted to facilitate the students to avail themselves of the internships. It acts as a bridge between the internship opportunities and students and encourages them to gain practical knowledge through internships. The first episode of the series is titled as Unravelling the Ruses of Law School, which will cover the life of a student in a law school, right from the beginning to the end, thus resolving all the doubts and providing a clear vision towards the journey. The event will commence with the address from our keynote speaker, which will be followed by a question and answer session moderated by Ms. Aditi Sharma. Now, I would request Neha Dahiya to take over the mic and introduce our esteemed guest, Mr. Sarthak Raizada.
Am I audible, Amisha?
Yes, Neha, you are.
Thank you, Amisha. Good evening, everyone. I once again welcome you all. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce to you all our speaker for today, Mr. Sarthak Raizada. Sir has done his BA LLB from RML National Law University, Lucknow. He has also done an advanced professional course in competition law from Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs. His articles have been published in international law journals. Sir has also won myriads of moot court competitions in his time. He has been an associate at Shardul Amarchand Mangaldas and Company. Sir has worked as the junior counsel in the Office of Additional Solicitor General of India. He has also held the position of research assistant at UN International Law Commission. He is working at the Supreme Court of India and currently works as an independent counsel. He has also been serving as a panel counsel for the Union of India. We welcome you, sir. Thank you so much for gracing the occasion with your presence. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Neha. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. I hope all of you are having a wonderful time. And thanks to Pranav, who asked me to come over and speak to you all about navigating through law school. And the topic for today, I would say, pithily captures what I have to speak about: unraveling the ruses of law school. Well, I can personally say there are a lot of ruses to begin with, and each of you will have separate ruses to deal with. So it basically, all of that would boil down to how each of you would choose what to do in law school. So before I tell you what all you can expect in law school, I would say I would share my own experience in law school. When I went to law school, I really had nothing on my mind. I just thought 5 years down the line, I am going to start litigating. And I will straight away hit the courts. And that's how my law school life is going to be. And the luxury with RML was that there was not too much of an academic pressure. And I was also not a very good academic student. I must highlight that. I had really bad grades in law school. So, and I never really bothered about that. It's only in retrospect I would say that, yes, I wish I can go and change that. But standing today, I can only say that, yes, academics is a great part of your law school and nobody should miss out on that. Having said that, my experience in law school mostly, you can say, turned around moot courts and debating competitions. For me, I spent hours on every moot that I took up in law school, and it sort of became my passion. So that was the one thing I identified with in law school, and that is something I take away from my law school, that in your first year, I'm not saying you have to identify right in the beginning of your first year, but as you eventually progress, at least by the beginning of your second year, all of you should have something that you identify with in law school. It could be anything. It could be debating. It could be mooting. For some, it could be just writing research papers, and for some, it could just be academics. But I would say that it's very essential, because law school is one time that you get to train yourself and try as many things as possible. Because after law school, it's going to be a difficult journey. It's going to be an uphill battle for many of you. I'm not saying that won't be an easy job. It will be very difficult, but it's going to be an uphill battle. So law school is one time where you can hit and try new things, as many as you can. So apart from academics, I would tell you that, of course, all of you will have to at least have something that you identify with, that becomes your passion. So this is a very short experience I had in law school, and this is something I might have probably dropped out of mooting. Maybe this is some point of time in my second year. In my first year, when I went to law school, I won my I came runners up in the freshers moot court competition, which was known as Conkers in RML. It was a very closely matched competition that I had with the person on the other side. But be that as it may, I thought, okay, fine, mooting is something I like to do, and there's something that gets me closer to the courtroom. There's nothing really that gets me as close as to the courtroom than moot court does. But then came my second year, when I began to lose even internal moot court selection rounds. I did one, I lost it. I did the second, I lost it. I did the third, and I lost it. And it was in my third year that I eventually thought that this is the last time I'm going to try something. And if this doesn't work out for me, I'm going to drop out of moot courts. And trust me, I used to think I'm really good at moot courts by that time. I used to, in fact, there was one thing I could be boastful about, but I really had no achievements to boast about. So there was a phase in law school that I was struggling with, because there was something I had identified with, and I couldn't really convert it into a outcome, a good result that I wanted. So in my third year, when my third year came, I finally decided that I'll take up 2 moot courts together. Very unprecedented. Many people also said that Sarthak is overdoing, and he shouldn't be doing this. And there were a lot of comments, of course, like as you traverse through law school, there will be a lot of comments that will come and go. But there was one time I thought to myself that if this is it, and this is it for me. I mean, this is the last time I'm going to do something. And then eventually I did 2 moot court together. One was NLU and antitrust moot court competition, which is organized by NLU Jodhpur. And the other one was Leiden Serene, which is an air law moot. And both of them overlapped with each other. And I really had no time that semester to look after anything else apart from those 2 moot courts. And trust me, guys, it was one of the most, I would say, strenuous times of law school, because I really had no time to eat, sleep, or do anything else. So that time I gave it everything I had. And fortunately enough for me and my team, which had a very crucial role to play in the outcome, we were the first team from RML to have made it to the finals of the National Law University Antitrust Moot Court competition. So when we were taking up that mood, everybody told us that no, RML will never really make it beyond quarterfinals. So that was the first time. And that I could say in retrospect, that was the beginning of how I ended up at Sam & Co, Shartula Merchant Mangalas, because it was organized by Shartula Merchant Mangalas, that moot court competition. So very interestingly for me, and I was one of the, in fact, I would say, rather lucky participant at the moot court competition, because one of the judges who judged me in the quarterfinals and then he judged me in the semifinals, he really liked me. And he walked up to me after the semifinals and he told me that, Sarthak, we don't know about the result, but this is my card and you keep it and apply to us for the internship. So for a moment, briefly, I thought that, okay, fine, even if I am to lose out in the quarterfinal, in the semifinals, this was semifinals rounds, after which he walked up to me. For a moment, I thought, okay, fine, the result really doesn't matter now. Because at some level, I have a personal gratification to begin with. But fortunately, as the result came out, we broke into the finals. And then I just told my teammates, okay, fine, tonight we're not going to read it all. We're just going to go into the finals tomorrow and we're just going to do it. Whatever be the outcome, we made it. We had a good run. And in all fairness, we didn't even read. And perhaps because of that reason, we also lost in finals. And we were really bad in the finals. And you won't believe the entire Salmon Co team bet on us. They bet on our team. That we were told after, when I went to Sam about this, when they told me that we bet on your team, that your team is going to win the finals. And we performed really bad in the finals. Extremely bad. If I'm to look at it, I'll be like, this team didn't even deserve to go into the finals. But be that as it may, that was one aspect. And the second was, at the same time, Leiden Serene. There was I was a researcher. I wasn't a speaker in that because there were two more seniors on the team. So yeah, everybody wants to travel the world and everyone wants to break through the India rounds. I know that luxury is not available now with COVID, and you don't have the incentive कि college के पैसे पे बाहर चले जाएंगे types. But yeah, so Leiden Serene also fortunately happened in a good way for me, that my team won the India rounds that same semester. So all of this was happening in one semester for me. And so that is the time I realized that yes, there is a passion that you identify with, but that passion may not uh, pay you immediate results in law school. But if you stick to it, if you stick to your guns, it definitely will go a long way. And this is not just true about moot court competitions, it is also true about anything else that you take up. It could either be writing research papers. A very small example that I can give you about navigating through with research papers and all is that I came alive to the idea of writing research papers in fourth year of law school. And I thought, let's try this as well. And I sent out a few articles. I started with a very small blog, got rejected, and got also very disheartened. At the same time, thinking ki I know I know the law pretty well, but my papers are not getting published. What's the problem? So I went back and I started with an even smaller blog, and then I got published a few places. So the idea, guys, is that law school will throw a lot of things in your way. And I know because you are a new law school, this is a very new law school, and seniors also are navigating through a lot of things. A lot of things are very new for them. So everyone will have to make an additional effort to know what's the opportunity that's coming your way. So I would say that to grab more opportunities, you have to expand your horizons, in the sense that you need to keep looking at your interest in a way that takes you further. You have to develop that interest. You can't just have an interest and not act on it. You have to have that interest and you have to act on it in a way that takes you further. And that makes a difference to your law school life and the life that you're going to have after law school. Because trust me, academics will only take you so far. Yes, they have a crucial role. I will not deny that. But what I am today is partly, I would say, at least till law school, it's partly what I am is because of my moot courts and nothing else. I was the sort of person who was never really interested in classroom teachings. I was mostly interested in going to the library, and I will sit there all day. I will read judgments, but I had really bad grades. I still had really bad grades. I was a 6.86 on 10, and by RML standards, that's pretty low, guys. That's pretty low. And but that's something I like doing. So I continue to do that. But again, in retrospect, I would say I would change that, because of course that uh, comes with a lot of hurdles after law school, because that is the immediate benchmark for you, for other people to test you, how consistent you have been with your performance. So the first thing any recruiter perhaps is going to look at is your grades. It'll be very unconventional recruiter who will say, okay, fine, I'm not going to look at your grades, I'm going to look at how you perform during the internship, or how you are as a personality. So those are a few things that will come your way in law school. Regarding internships, I may not be the best person to speak, because uh, I was a very lazy student. I am a second generation lawyer, so half the times I was told by my father to go do an internship with somebody. So I was a very lazy person. I'll be very frank with you guys. So in a way, that was a luxury, but also something I will advise against, because uh, I think I could have interned at a lot better places than I did, and at more places than I did in law school. But in 5 years of law school, I did 5 authentic internships where I used to go daily. 2 of them were at SAM, because I got my internships at SAM through the moot court, and that was one way to land an internship. Had I applied to the normal procedure, I think I would have never even envisioned being at SAM. So before antitrust happened for me, I never really thought I will make it to a law firm like Sam & Co. It was one of the most prestigious law firms in the country, and also one of the most prestigious teams, because competition team was band one competition team back then. And all about that was, so for me, again, is what I'm saying is very subjective. You you, of course, you can pick up something from what I say, but I cannot be the guiding experience for you guys. So which is why at the outset, like I said, I told you all, there were a lot of other people also in my batchmate who did several other things, who were interested in debating. My juniors mostly were interested in writing, and some of them did phenomenally well. So whenever you try something in law school, don't be disheartened by any setback, because all of those setbacks are going to be temporary. So for example, somebody of you is interested in writing. Take for example, and writing is a wonderful thing, trust me, it gives you immense satisfaction. Even when today I write something, it gives me more satisfaction than I would have derived when I was in law school mooting. So writing is a great experience for me, especially because you can see something that the world has to look at, right? So for example, if any of you is interested in writing, I would say identify the subject matter that you want to write about, because that is the most interesting and very crucial aspect of writing. That what is the area of law that attracts your interest? And once you have the interest identified, I would say that you go check out what all famous blogs are there out in the open, either be it India or abroad. So and this is a very normal Google search will give those results to you. It doesn't take it's not rocket science for any of us. So that is something that is somewhere you can begin with. And whenever you're writing something, don't be oblivious to how other people are writing. So the essential idea behind writing is that when you go visit a good blog, you see how people write, you see how people think, and thinking will only be developed by more reading. I know there is uh, uh, and it's extremely unfortunate, that sort of a culture that people tend to uh, think that reading 2 or 3 judgments or maybe half a book is gonna give those results. It's not gonna give those results. If you want to get published with good blogs, it's gonna take a lot of reading than you usually would imagine doing in law school. So that's one way to proceed with writing your blogs. And blogs, in fact, is a good way to start writing instead of directly rushing to writing a 10,000 word research paper, because that is something you will never be able to finish right throughout law school if you immediately start with that. I tried that every semester. Start of every semester, I used to go back to law school, thinking this semester I'm going to write a 5,000 word research paper and get it published with some fancy as law school journal. But that never really happened with me. So I always stuck to blog writings, and over a period of time only, I was able to get it published with some good blogs like Berkeley and Groningen, which is a Netherlands-based university. So all of this is gonna happen over time. And so having said that, third aspect that most of us uh, look at is perhaps debating, but I don't know how's the debating culture at your university, but I would recommend that it's also a fun activity. It doesn't take a lot of time, and I must recommend that all of you should continue to do that, because it gives you a lot of critical thinking, and you will always be a good debater if you're a good lawyer. And of course, that also comes with a lot of reading. You can't be a good debater if you go outside. So the first debate that I went to, I felt like a loser. I went to CNLU Patna, my first debate outside law school. And when I came back, I reflected on how I performed. So that is the most essential part of any activity that you do. And I came back and I reflected on what's the difference between me and them, that they qualified and I didn't. And that is the difference you need to identify. And this is something that I usually noticed with moot courts as well. So, for example, people go for a moot court, they come back, and the standard excuse, 99% of the times, there is a standard excuse that people give that judges were really bad. Luck kharab tha. Trust me, that factor is going to remain with any moot court you participate in, with any moot court. And this happened to me till the last 5 minutes of my mooting activity in law school. I was participating in FTI investment law moot, South Asia rounds. And this is the quarterfinal rounds. By that time, I was in my 5th year. Of course, I used to think I'm a star mooter. And yes, I'm going to ace it. And I was literally shouting throughout at my teammate, at my co-speaker, and saying, you didn't say this, you didn't say that. And then finally came the quarterfinals. And this is literally the sir rebuttals, when you're essentially wrapping up your arguments. And it's something that happened with me, and which was a very bad experience for me as well. And that is, in that moment, I realized that you can never be overconfident about anything. And this is one factor that plays with any mood. So I was in my sir rebuttals. I was giving sir rebuttals. My teammate was supposed to give that. I told him, no, you're not going to give it. I'm going to give it. And I took it over from him. And I was literally made to apologize for jarring certain facts in the moot problem. I was asked to withdraw my submission, and that made us lose our round. So that literally happened in the last 5 minutes of my mooting activity, after having so much of mooting experience throughout law school. So that is a factor that's going to stay constant. People, when they will judge you, there will be subjective opinions, but the only way you can overcome this is through your hard work. Luck will play a 5% role in whatever you do, but there can be no substitution for hard work, guys. Pranav, are you saying something?
No, sir. I said agreed, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So that is something that's going to remain constantly forever throughout your law school journey. And apart from that, I would say that law school, I don't know how hectic is the academic schedule in your law school, but law school also, I mean, in terms of at least the internships, it's a relatively fresh law school. And from what I know now is that law firms are also open to giving opportunities to unconventional law school or new national law schools as well. So don't be afraid of trying by applying to them, but do it at the right time. And this is something I have noticed till date. And uh, I have literally rejected applications on this ground. Whenever somebody applied to my boss's office, when I was with the office of the Additional Solicitor General, that people don't really vet their own applications. They will copy paste the cover letter from somewhere. They will be applying to X place, but the name will be written of Y place. Some people will, of course, add smileys also to the cover letter. So these are basic things that nobody's going to tell you about. But this is something you ought to know. This is something that is a part of formal communication, and there is really no explanation for you to not know about these things. So whenever you're applying to any place, know where you're applying to, know about the place, check if you have any background of the place that you're applying to, whether you have any relevant experience for the place. So for example, you're applying to a big firm like Trilegal or Khaitan. You're applying with their securities team, but you really have no securities experience. So you essentially cannot crib when your application gets rejected, saying that I got rejected, I don't get through anywhere. Because that's the time you need to assess whether you had the relevant background to get that internship. Because trust me, there are 100 different students competing for the same position. So nobody's going to cut you slack. Nobody is going to give you charity. Nobody is going to offer you things on a plate for you. Nothing is served on a silver platter here, especially for people who are first generation lawyers, and especially for a fresh law school like yours. So 3 things that you need to identify while before applying to any internship is that you need to know about the place. You need to know whether you have sufficient experience. If you don't have sufficient experience, intern at smaller places. It's okay to intern at a smaller place, especially early on in law school, because as you progress, it's gonna get more competitive with your batchmates, with your friends, with everybody. Because you're gonna look at your friends and you're gonna be like, okay, he's interning at Trilegal. I cannot go to an advocate's office and intern. So I'm not saying it's less of a job. I'm not saying that, but that's the perception in the market. So if you play by perception, then I will say that try as many things as you can early on in law school and get cracking on it. I wish I had utilized my time better. I wish I had done more moots. I had done more debates. I didn't debate till my 3rd year of law school. I still remember, and this is something many of you won't even believe that happened with me. So before I cracked CLAT, I dropped for a year. And I had to participate in a group discussion at Symbiosis. And I was so terribly afraid of going and participating in a group discussion that I eventually chose to not even go for that discussion. I cracked my exam and I got so afraid. It was such a cold feet for me that I didn't even go for it. And eventually, even after I went to law school, it took me something to overcome my stage fright, but I eventually had to. And that is something, and if somebody today in my law school is going to talk about me, they're not even going to believe in this. So that is something, whatever your fears are, you have to give them up. You can't harbor them, you cannot act on them. And it's only when you overcome that fear, you will be able to see the true potential. And it's okay to fail, guys. It's completely okay to fail. In my first debate, I spoke for 2 minutes out of 5. I was so embarrassed I didn't participate for the next 2 years. And it was only in my 3rd year that I participated again, that I could gather courage to do it again. And it's okay to have failures. And I know people don't talk about them, but it's very essential that we do, because otherwise, if I come here and talk fancy about what I did at SAM, what I did at the ASG's office, it's not going to make a difference. So overcoming these fears is very important. Understanding your limitations is important. And as an example, I can tell you that it really happens, and I think it plays on your ego as well. So take for example, in a moot court competition, there are three people, right? Two of them are speakers and the third one is a researcher. The researcher is usually treated as a substitute in a cricket team. He's like, he exists, you're going to be my clerk, kind of thing. So, but that's not really the job of a researcher in a moot court. His job is to feed his teammates. His teammates' job is also to respect them, because he's not a sidekick in the team. He plays a very important role. So never really underestimate what you are doing. Never don't really underestimate what others are doing, because at maybe someday you can be there as well. It doesn't take much, right? So these are the few things to remember while navigating through law school. And regarding internships, better internships, I mean, looking outside India, I think I can give you a few pointers here. I mean, very basic pointers. I will not enter into the details of it, because I am also not very aware about those details, because I didn't do that. But in your penultimate year of law school, and this is something you have to aim from now, not something you can wake up in the fourth year and decide, okay, fine, I'm going to apply to this NCS law firm in London or Paris or somewhere else. This is something you need to work on right from the very beginning. So in your penultimate year of law school, there are a lot of law firms in the UK, in the EU, which offer trainee programs to Indian students, when you can go and intern with them, summer school sort of thing, and perhaps convert that into a job offer as well. So if you Google Magic Circle law firms, you will perhaps can do a Google search. A normal Google search will return you Magic Circle law firms in London or Silver Circle law firms in London. So, of course, it's very competitive. Usually people from the top 3 or the top 4 law schools get into that. But I will say, don't shy away from aspiring for, because sky is really the limit here, guys. And if you have worked enough, if you worked hard, it will always show on paper. Yes, it is very important to show it on paper as well. For that, you need to have good grades as well. For example, I cannot apply even today. They will not hire me, but they can definitely hire you if you have good grades, if you have performed well in other areas of law school life. Yeah, so that's about it. And before I conclude, very short thing I must share, and this is a very phenomenal experience for me when I was working with Dr. Anirudh Rajput at the UN International Law Commission. So I don't know if you're aware of what the International Law Commission does. So International Law Commission basically is responsible for the codification of international law. So whatever treaties, etc., you read about in law school, or you will read about when you read public international law, so they are codified by the International Law Commission. It's a group of 40 independent international law experts who sit together for maybe a couple of years or more than that to come out with some draft, which is then shared with the General Assembly, with the 6th Committee of the General Assembly. So this experience was, I would say, very life-changing for me, because 1, I stayed in Europe for 3 months. 2, I saw the development of international law at coalface, because ILC was something I read about throughout law school. Whenever, of course, you will participate in moot courts or you read about public international law, ILC will come into picture, International Law Commission. So something I'd read about on paper, I was actually there to see it. And that experience was life-changing in the sense that I had worked towards that. I loved public international law throughout law school. And I finally saw that it coming to fruition, basically. I finally saw my hard work come to fruition. And seeing people who have argued at the International Court of Justice and various other international law tribunals and see them engage and deliberate on international law was another experience for me. So I would say that hard work never really goes away, because this is something that happened to me after law school. This didn't happen with me in law school. So I went for that short break from work in 2019, 2 years after I'd graduated. And after I'd graduated, I was like, public international law, who's going to use it? I'm going to be struggling in courts. Nothing's going to come out of it. But yeah, I worked with Dr. Rajput, and I could use my background and experience in international law, and I could make it to that place. So these are a few things that you must remember. And if you guys have any questions, then I'll be happy to take them.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, good evening, sir. Sir, first of all, thank you so much for sharing such a wonderful experience, all your ups and downs with us. So, sir, my question here is that what will you suggest for a first year student, those who wants to go for a national level debate competition? Basically, any specific tip and trick from your side?
Yeah, so how I did it when I was in law school, and I eventually also went on to become the president of the debating society of my law school. Funny thing, a guy who couldn't even debate in the first year, couldn't even speak barely for 2 minutes in my final year. So a very important thing about debating is that you need to have a debating society in law school. I'm sure you guys already have that. So how we improved it at RML was we used to hold weekly sessions. Of course, the turnaround over a period of time gradually reduced, but that again depends on your interest. If you're interested, you will go and do it. So form a debating society. We also had this interesting system of debating Premier League to make it more attractive. So it works on the uh, model of IPL, that people will basically auction for you based on virtual money, and that sort of makes it just more interesting. So, and to improve your debating, that's one way to inculcate the debating culture in law school. And the second way to improve on your debating is to you need to identify, of course, like read the newspaper to begin with. That's non-negotiable. And you can read about, there are a few famous political reviews of Ivy League colleges. Once you Google Ivy League colleges, you'll have these Harvard, etc. turn up. There are 9 or 11, I guess. So there are political reviews. You can regularly follow them. And there are a lot of debating blogs as well, like WUDC. You can Google that up. Who's paid? You will find debating motions on that website. They also have a dedicated website to that. So that's one way. And having a culture is very important. You can't debate alone. You can't. It's not school anymore, where you'll just prepare a speech and go and you'll win it. You need to have a team that will win it for you. And it's usually at a minimum it's 2 speakers for a British parliamentary debate and 3 for an Asian parliamentary debate. So, and you need to be aware about the formats, you need to be aware about the rules of debating, and all of that is available on several websites. You should read about them. You should know how to develop a motion. All of this is available just a stroke away from the keys on your keyboard. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
So basically we had few questions, like we passed on a Google form, so students wanted to know, and you have answered all of them. Just a few questions are, like one question
you
is,
just like shoot them, because
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
really
so
bad with reading.
okay, so basically one question is how to study effectively in law school for both college and competitive exams like UPSC, judiciary, etc.
Okay. I would be a really bad person to be speaking about this too, because I I didn't have good grades in law school, but yes, I can tell you one thing: attending classes can help you. I didn't do that. So attending classes regularly will help you. Taking notes will help you. finishing your syllabus much before will help you. But competitive exams is something I will not advise you on, because I didn't go for it. I was not interested in it. And if you are in the first year of your law school, I would tell you, be not interested in it right now. So you can definitely do that when you are in your fourth year or a fifth year. But right now is not the time to fret about it. It's a 5-year long journey. What I thought about in the first year of my law school, none of that came out to be true. So yeah,
So
and you must speak to somebody who is actually doing this thing, because it'll be unfair for me to advise you on that.
okay. So the next question is like, oh, what kind of internship a first year student should focus on? Like they don't have any CV, etc. and all.
Okay, so conventionally speaking, uh, you can go intern with some NGO to begin with. You can, of course, Google again. Google is gonna help you most of the times, much better than I will help you. But yeah, effectively doing research is very important. So when you're applying to an NGO, you need to identify what they're doing. Are they even doing something related to law? Because most of the times students end up with policy NGOs. I personally am not a person who's interested in policy making. So also I never really interned with NGOs because I found it to be a scam. So uh, again, I was very unconventional with my internships as well. My first internship was with Mr. UU Lalit, who's presently the judge at the Supreme Court, and the second one was directly at SAM. So very unconventional again. But yes, first year you should definitely go intern with an NGO of your choice. You can uh, look at NGOs which specifically work in maybe public activism or something like that. There are a lot of NGOs you will find doing that. You can apply to them. They will be happy to offer you an internship, I'm sure. So for first year, definitely should do that. But along with that, I will also say that uh, apply much in advance, at least 3 months before, when you want to work with them, because A, that looks professional, B, that gives you a better opportunity over others who haven't applied. Because most of us will apply, okay, fine, December is approaching, vacations are approaching, what do I have to do? Okay, let's apply. 15 days before the vacations, you apply. Of course, you're going to get a rejection, right? So apply much in advance. That's one way to do it. And ensure you have a good cover letter. Ensure you send your CV in PDF, not in Word. And these are basic things, guys, most of us miss out on. And so yeah, keep that in mind, and you'll sail through. Yeah.
Oh, so I think you have answered most of the questions. So
Yeah.
Aditi, there's a question by Aman Rai in the chat box
yeah, sir.
regarding.
Any suggestion on how to overcome the
Just
stage?
a second, guys. Just a second.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Yeah, guys, tell me, please.
Yeah, sir. We have one question like from Arun. What all challenges you get when you switch from a law school to a law firm?
You switch from a law school to a law firm.
Yeah, sir.
I have a counter question. Are you thinking about that right now?
Arun.
Gaining experience would be better, right?
I'm sorry.
Gaining experience from others would be better, right?
Okay. One, you're gonna have your own experience when you go to a law firm. Two, uh, it's very different. When, of course, you are an intern, you are doing all the uh, side work. Nobody's gonna involve you in actual serious work, at least at a law firm. And when you're working as an associate, there's a lot more responsibility. Your boss is gonna pull you up every now and then. For me, uh, uh, I will say law firm was very different from how I thought it will be. Most of the times I was printing emails as a first year associate, not really doing anything about the law. So yeah, which is exactly why I quit in 6 months. So yeah, that's about it. It's gonna be different. It's gonna, and once you go there, you'll realize that you will at least have a sense of what's the difference. Because if I tell you right now, there's only so much I can tell you. And so as an intern, nobody's gonna pull you. Nobody's gonna care about you. As an associate, they're gonna pay you, so they're gonna definitely care what you do with it.
Thank you, sir.
So there's a question about overcoming stage fear.
By going on the stage,
Yeah.
that's how you overcome the stage fear. You don't go on the stage. So it's like one of those moments, right? When somebody's giving a speech and then they ask a question, and then nobody actually lifts their hand to answer it, right? Because everybody is thinking what others are going to think about me. So it's usually one of those moments you have to overcome. Uh, you have to think that yes, it's quite likely people are going to make fun of me, but that doesn't really matter. And eventually, over a period of time, you will realize that uh, either you're made for it or you're not made for it. So I will not say that everybody is made out, is cut out for that, but I will also not discourage anybody from trying it. So yeah, going on the stage and speaking is the first job. And if anybody tells you speaking in the mirror helps, it doesn't. So yeah, don't do that.
So like any more questions, if anyone has, they can ask.
See, it's one of those moments I just told you about.
May I ask a question, sir?
Yeah, definitely.
So, yes, sir. Sir, just I wanted to ask you, as you told us earlier, that first you thought about going in litigation in your earlier years, then you ended up doing good in voting ads, and also you got published. And after that, when you graduated, you landed up in SAM, then you chose to be as a retained counsel, and currently you are an independent counsel in the Supreme Court. So my question is, how can we go through with all these ups and downs in our college life and for our upcoming years also? And how can we be victorious or at least be effective in our future?
Okay,
It's
so
all about
yeah, so I went to SAM for two reasons. One is a very obvious reason. They were paying a lot of money. So everybody likes money. I think nobody will say that we don't like it, right? And of course, now the entry level package is also substantially increased. Uh, how it was when I joined in comparison to that. So that was the one reason. The second reason was after doing antitrust, I developed a liking for competition law. So internships I did after that were in competition law, and so those are the two reasons I went to SAM. But the most important thing why I left SAM is because I thought I don't want to be comfortable with the money too much because I want to eventually do litigation. So I identified what I want and then I left. And after that, I will say that litigation is uh, stressful, but and the incubation period is extremely long, so it can also be frustrating. And but yeah, you will be in court, so that experience by itself is very satisfying. But again, it depends on the individual concern, because I see that people think about this in very black and white. That everything happens in litigation. That's not really true, right? Because some people like being in the on the corporate side, and they enjoy that work. So don't have those notions that corporate work is essentially bad and the only thing I will enjoy is litigation. That's not true. Some people like litigation, some people like doing corporate work, some people like to earn a lot of money. They don't really care about anything else. So yeah, so those are few ways you can look at it. And about the rest, don't worry too much. For all you know, you might as well go for your master's directly, or you might as well end up in a fancy law firm in London. So yeah, all of that can be settled out, thrashed out later. Don't have to be worried about all of that right now. Should be worried about identifying your interest. You should not worry about it. In fact, enjoy it, identify it, enjoy it, and go ahead with that. And be consistent is something I would say in whatever you do.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Amisha.
Thank you, sir, for such an insightful session. Now I would request Surbhi Jindal to take over for the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Misha. Am I perfectly audible?
Yes, sir. Sorry, yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening to you all. Thank you for joining the webinar. It has been a great success so far as it imparted a lot of knowledge to all the people. I, Surbhi, on behalf of Dakshita and Internship and Placement Cell, want to deliver a vote of thanks speech. I'm really thankful to my team members for giving me this chance to deliver the speech. I want to thank our guest speaker, Mr. Sarthak Raizada, for his active participation in the webinar. Sir, you truly made this day full of knowledge for us. Your deep and intellectual way of imparting the experiences on unraveling the uses of law school has added to the glory of the webinar. Today we have got a lot of information which will truly help us in our life. We have no words of gratitude for your valuable presence in this webinar. It was a really informative webinar, and I am pretty sure that the precious knowledge that you gave us will definitely help in the future. Once again, I would like to thank Sarthak sir for taking out time from his busy schedule and enlightening us with knowledge. Big thanks to our team members who really worked hard for this webinar. On a positive note, I would like to end my speech here. Thank you all for making this webinar a success. You may all leave the meet now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye, Pranay.
Thank you,
Bye,
sir.
everyone.
Bye, sir. Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.